Good morning, everybody. Everyone can step over this one a little bit around the front. So come around a bit further around here, guys. Well, good morning to everybody, and welcome to the 2012 Caravan Camping and Outdoor Adventure Show. My name is Stu Livingston, and hopefully I think many of you will know. And I'd just like to welcome you here today. Today there are just a very few small speeches to make, so it is a very important occasion. And I'd just like to hand over to Peter White, our chairman.
Hello everyone. Thank you for taking time to come to this event. Obviously you're all very busy. As part of the 50th anniversary celebrations of the Caravan and Camping Industry Association, the Executive Committee commissioned Trevor Gill to put together the history of our industry in the form of a book. The project took many hours to collate and includes interviews with some of the most interesting, dedicated and colourful characters that make up the pioneers of that great industry. The book contains some fantastic stories of inventiveness, courage and determination. To read this book and travel the journey of the industry to the success that it is today is both interesting and inspirational. And I would like to thank personally Trevor Gill and all of the contributors that make this snapshot of our industry possible. Excuse me, I've got my notes mixed up. Of course, the story doesn't stop here. Our industry still faces its trials and tribulations, and we have a new generation of determined, incentive and dedicated people to carry on our forebears' dreams into the future and look forward to the next edition of the industry history book. Maybe we could call it Still Adjusting the Satellite Dish. Thank you all for coming again, and I'd like to hand back to Stuart, who's our MC.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you all for coming, and I would firstly like to say how much I've enjoyed researching and writing the book, and I sincerely thank the Caravan and Camping Industries Association for asking me to undertake the project. Former President Mike Briggs and his wife Dot, Stuart Livingston and others have supported me from the outset, and this has been continued by Peter White and his committee. There are just too many people for me to thank today and to do them justice effectively today, but later I do wish to acknowledge some people who have been wonderfully informative and supportive of the project. When the association first asked me to do this job, I was a little bit apprehensive because I thought it may be a little bit too internally focused on the association, and I wanted it to have more broader public appeal, and therefore I was delighted when Mike and Stuart agreed that we should be interviewing some of the great characters from the past and explore the industry right back to its beginnings in Australia. So began the journey, and it really, from my perspective, has been quite a revelation. As Peter said, find some amazing stories about people with vision and energy to develop an industry that's currently enjoyed by millions of Australians. There is a clear South Australian focus in the book, but it is of national significance because so many of the individuals and companies that started here way back as early as the 1920s went on to be very influential in the industry across the nation. The great boom in the industry that we know today was actually back in the 1950s when the family car became more affordable, and Don Loughlin has written so much about the early Holdens is here today and can add to that informally later on over a cup of coffee, I'm sure. Great local names of those days included Furness and Roadmaster, Paramount, Broadway, Globetrotter, Hardy, Rovan, King, Harris, Viscount, Parapat, Clipper, Adventure and Delmer, and the industry then was swinging from wood to aluminium, and there are many others who are profiled in the book. One of the defining features of the industry, I think, is its resilience and ability to make the most of good times and to find its way through bad. And South Australia, largely through the influence of people like Bob Gadd, led the charge against great adversity in around about 1990, and that laid the foundation for the industry we know today and for the national body that is called the CRVA. This is a history book, but I hope it is an inspiring and enjoyable read with broad public appeal as it explores our love of life on wheels and sitting around a campfire. As I said, there are too many people to thank today, but I sincerely hope I've done them all justice in the book. I do wish to, if I may, make special mention of again, the association, including Caravan for their support. I thank the association's former CEO, Peter Martin, and Len Burgess, along with a number of former presidents and life members. Vintage Caravan enthusiasts have been an inspiration and source of important information, and I particularly thank Jeff Gill, Mark Taylor, Larry Lucas, Ray and Janet Mossop, Richard Dickens, Bob Freeport and Hampton, David May, and Richard and Judy Hart, Margaret and Richard Davis, along with Helen Higgins, were particularly helpful in giving the insights to the early development of parks and the Caravan Club of South Australia. I do particularly want to acknowledge the presence today of Alba Harris here, the wife of late Norm Harris. Alba was wonderful with her memories and support of the project. And I also greatly appreciate Frank McDonald, another industry identity domain expert on our book in its first stages. Thank you sincerely to Rhys Stewart of Graphic Alliance for his creative expertise and flair in designing the book. And I finally wish to thank my wife Shirley and my children Tim, Robert, Alice and James for their constant support and encouragement. They've endured my distraction again on a literary journey. This is my fourth published book and I'm particularly proud. So thank you again, and I think the idea is that Stuart is going to invite you up for tea and coffee after, and where you will receive a copy of the book. But I would just like to invite to come forward Jan Coppola. If you could come forward, Jan, please. Jan and his brothers Sal and Guido joined Dean Martin Woodard as Roadmaster in the 1950s before they started their own Delma brand, and Delma being short for Adelaide Made. Jan is a living and very vibrant link with the industry going back more than half a century ago. He served, I think, 3 terms as president, 4 terms as president, and he's, of course, a life member. And I just wanted to ask Dan a couple of questions to give you a bit of insight into that period. Jan, you and your brothers, Sal and Guido, joined Dean Norton way back then. What was the industry like in those days?
We joined in 1956. June 1956, I got a job at Roadmaster. Then headed by the family. So we got a job, he got a job, and 6 months later I joined together from out of the 3 of us then continued to build Caravan. In the days I'm talking about is the days where we actually moulded the poles for the Caravan out of Caravan for patterns, if you remember those. And we used to mould them in a way of Jeep, and then outside the Caravan was Kano, so masonite. The roof was Kano, you can see some of them. So it was a fairly sort of pedestrian Caravan that we built. But in those days, you know, they were wanted in the 1950s, like the boom came.
There was a reunion of a gathering of vintage caravans in the Ross Valley on the weekend, and Jan, I think, was invited up there, and I think you saw a number of those old bands, including a gold.
Yes, actually, it reminds me sort of brought back memories when I was actually about 25 years old, a lot more vigorous than I am now. And there's a number of old Roadmasters that my brothers and I actually produced back in the 50s, 60s. Even though they branded the Roadmaster, but my brothers and I actually built them.
Jan, it was interesting to reflect on how we were so influential as a manufacturing state back in the 50s into the 60s. Why was that so?
I think in the late 50s, what I call there was an awakening of the Australian people about holidays. I think we had a little bit more time, and we realised that the caravan was one way that you could travel safely with your family and go places where you couldn't obviously go before. The car was there, the petrol was cheaper, therefore the boom came, and that's the reason I think why the caravan industry boomed in those years.
There must have been a lot of competition, but also a joint commitment to the industry, and thus the formation of the CTIA, the forerunner of the association today. What was the camaraderie like between the industry players there?
All I can say is that my wife and I had a fantastic journey in the industry. It's like coming from 1956 to what it is today, and I've seen the whole lot. The camaraderie between, say, state manufacturers, which I think we mentioned a few of them. There was competition, but there was never that thing about you are better than me or I'm better than you. So we contributed, each one of those manufacturers that Trevor has mentioned contributed something to the industry. And so that's the reason why the industry created the CTIA then, but now called CCIA, but changed the name a few years back.
Finally, Jan, it's estimated that over the next 2 years, around 9 million Australians will enjoy caravanning and camping experiences. How do you reflect on the growth of the industry over the last 60 or so years that you've been involved?
I think the mid-70s, caravan manufacturers throughout Australia. I'm proud to South Australia, don't get me wrong, but I've had links, I've still got links with interstate people. And I must also say that the interstate people enjoy coming to Adelaide because of our friendship and its friendliness here. As I said, I had a fantastic journey into the Australian caravan industry.
Well, thank you, Jan. I wonder if you could thank Jan as well for his attendance today. And if I know, I'd like Stuart to come back and just tell us what we're going to do now.
Thanks, Jan. I appreciate that. I rang Jan, I think it was yesterday, I just track of time at the moment, and I said to him, can you come up and say a few words? He said, oh, do I have to be really serious? And I said, no, just be yourself. So, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Leading in, I guess, from the research of the book that Trevor's done, and also how a lot of you have actually contributed to, it's actually led to a new initiative that we're launching here today as well, called the National Vintage Caravan Grand Parade. Over the time that we've been collecting information about vintage vans, we thought of a way how we can really, I guess, tap into that and create a real celebration of vintage caravans at the actual show itself. The event will work by vintage caravanners being able to register their caravan attending into this event. They'll all stay down at one common caravan park, and we're just negotiating that at the moment. But on the morning of Friday next year at the show, they'll all drive down in a convoy and then park on the arena, which is the oval here. And we're hoping to create a day where all the vintage caravanners can celebrate amongst themselves, share their stories, and also share their stories with the general public attending the show. There'll be events in that evening where we're still brainstorming them, but they could be a long dinner, maybe at the caravan park with a massive long trestle table set up. There may be possibly a concert here that night. So we're going through all those ideas just at the moment. Well, that's being launched right now. I just actually got an email this morning to say that the site's ready to go live, but I couldn't proof it on my phone. It's a little bit tricky. So the actual website will be ready to release probably at the end of this week, maybe, once we get around to it. But thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate everyone's time, and also everyone's contribution to the book and their support in compiling all the information, and also their support in helping us promote the book from now. We're actually having tea and coffee for all the guests just upstairs in the exhibit lounge, and that's where you can pick up a copy that has been allocated to you of the book. So please, by all means, just come upstairs. Everyone knows where it is. Someone will lead the way. But just upstairs, and then you can grab your copy of the book. Thank you very much for coming along, everybody.
did the gates open?
10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Got about 5 minutes.